The Puck Portfolio with Andy McNeil.
Hey, welcome to the Puck Portfolio for Thursday, February 6th. Big slate in the NHL today. 9 games on tap after a small 3-game slate on Wednesday, which did not go very well for yours truly. I had a couple of shot props, Vincent Trocek and Leon Draisaitl, which both fell one short. Unfortunately, and yeah, my other bet on Corey Perry to score an anytime goal did not get there. So 0-3 for Andy on Wednesday. Nick, how did you do on Wednesday night?
Yeah, I didn't do good either. I needed that Miller point, which was really close. Obviously, if anyone was watching the game, he was a big part of the forecheck, and he did dump the puck in. But yeah, tough miss there. Tough miss for you on Trocheck too, because the Rangers played pretty well and he was all over it. But
yeah, it took him a while to get the 2 shots, but he got there. But unfortunately, and he scored a goal, but he did not get the third one. Same thing with Draisaitl. He was sitting on 0 for a large part of that game, and then started to come out in the second half of the game. Got 3 shots on goal, but did not get the fourth one. I wasn't.
And then I lost on Doughty, which was tough. The Kings scored 6, had 37 shots on goal. So, it was kind of impressive to pick a loser out of that game. I probably could have just put more stake into my idea that the Kings would have a good offensive night, but yeah.
I wasn't anticipating that that Draisaitl and McDavid would be split up for the Chicago Blackhawks, but maybe I should have. I thought they were kind of past the illness, but I guess still kind of hampering the team there a little bit, and it kind of showed last night. So anyway, we move on. Like I said, big Thursday slate, 9 games in the NHL. I guess we should start with the big Atlantic Division matchup between the Ottawa Senators and the Tampa Bay Lightning. This is a game that I covered on dailyfaceoff.com today. Ottawa is having an extended trip in Tampa Bay. Of course, they played the Lightning in a 4-3 loss on Tuesday at Amalie Arena, and they stuck around for a day, and now they're back at that rink playing the Lightning again. You don't see that very often. I'm wondering if maybe the World Junior schedule and whatnot had something to do with this kind of schedule, Kirk, because you really don't see a team stick around in the same city for 3 days and play 2 games, but it's unique, and that game on Tuesday also marked the return for Linus Ullmark. He had been out since December 22nd. He made 34 saves, pretty good showing from him, but not enough to keep Ottawa's 5-game win streak alive. The Senators were playing on the second half of a back-to-back after a Monday game in Nashville. So, I mean, nobody really expected them to win that one. But they are going back to Anton Forsberg for tonight's matchup versus the Lightning. They hold a 2-point lead over Tampa Bay for third place in the Atlantic Division, though Tampa Bay has 2 games in hand. So this is a big one. There's a lot of playoff implications here. Should be an interesting tilt. And these 2 teams have played twice already this season. They've split the season series so far 1-1. Tuesday's win for the Lightning put them back into a wild card spot. They were on the outside looking in heading into that game, and they'll look to make it 2 in a row now and climb back into third place in the Atlantic Division. Something tells me these 2 teams are kind of going to go back and forth unless Ottawa's injuries, play a big factor here over the next week or so. Josh Norris out week to week, Nick Cousins, Noah Gregor both out, and they also lost Shane Pinto to injury in the first period of Tuesday's game versus Tampa Bay. Haven't had an update on him yet, as far as I know. Not sure if he has been ruled out for tonight, but definitely going to impact their depth if he is. Tampa Bay has some injury concerns of their own. They are going to get Nick Paul back in the lineup for tonight, but Anthony Cirelli is listed as day-to-day, and he will not play. Andre Vasilevsky has been confirmed for the Lightning. He ranks 4th in save percentage, .918, and 11th in goals saved above expected among goaltenders that have faced at least 1,000 unblocked shot attempts, according to Evolving Hockey. Tampa Bay controlled that game, did a pretty good job. 76.4% of the expected goals, 63.6% of the shot attempts. I don't really think that should come as much of a surprise, given the Senators were tired following a game on Monday. And Tampa Bay has had much better underlying numbers over the last month and change since since January 1st. Sorry, the two clubs have posted near identical goal share, but the Senators ranked 19th in expected goals percentage and 21st in shot attempt percentage since January 1st, compared to the Lightning, who rank 8th in expected goal share and 10th in shot attempt percentage at even strength. So Tampa Bay does seem to have an edge here. I'm going with Anton Forsberg over 25.5 saves, minus 115 at Sports Interaction. He's been solid since returning from injury, and he hasn't had the best season, but I don't think he's faced as heavy as a workload as he's going to face here tonight against the Lightning. The Lightning ranked 4th in shots per 60 minutes since January 1st. But they also ranked 25th in goals per 60 during that stretch, so they are having some trouble scoring, and they've got basically one bad player on all lines tonight. If you look at their lineup right now, so maybe that'll factor in. But I expect the Lightning to control play, outshoot the Senators, and I think Forsberg's probably going to have to make upwards of 30 plus saves, win or lose. So I like this look here for Forsberg, 25.5 saves. I think it's a little bit, kind of hinged on his recent performances, but like I said, he hasn't faced a team that's going to give him the workload that the Lightning will likely throw his way tonight. So Anton Forsberg over 25.5 saves, minus 115 at Sports Interaction. I know you've got a lot of other games to cover today, Nick, but did you have any thoughts on the Senators or the Lightning here heading into this one?
No, I didn't have too much here. I'll be rooting for the Senators to try and get those playoff tickets home, but that was kind of my only interest. I thought the prices looked pretty fair. I've been a little surprised the Lightning haven't done a little better recently. I definitely am a believer that this team is better than last year's team. I think they're going to safely get into the playoffs. Maybe make some noise. I don't know. I was pretty confident last year they weren't going anywhere, but this year at times I feel like they have looked like a much better side. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that one goes.
Yeah, so you look like you've got a great price on the Utah Hockey Club, which you gave out yesterday. And I think something that's probably working in your favor is the fact that Zach Werenski is going to be a game time decision tonight for the game.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what we banked on. It hasn't been great to me, but that was a number that clearly looked off to me yesterday. Even Bet365 and some of the bigger books opened up minus 130 for a bit there yesterday. So hopefully some of the listeners were able to get good numbers, even though that's kind of been the easy part lately. It feels like all these ones where I get the most line movement, it's just the Blue Jackets are going to win this game in a shootout. So hopefully it doesn't go that way. It sounds like Werenski might be slightly more likely to play than maybe we thought yesterday, but a huge part of it was still for me, they're going to be without Marchenko, Monahan, Fabro. So either way, I think it's solid. I wouldn't play it anymore, especially given that now you're probably not going to see the line move further towards Utah. The only thing you might see happen is Werenski confirmed, and then the number comes down. So I think that's the only thing there. But yeah, definitely happy to have the prices that we have on that game, and hopefully it works out for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have a bet on the Washington Capitals. I don't have a whole lot to say on this game, other than the fact that I think the price is pretty good. I bet the Capitals at minus 154 at Pinnacle. Pretty much the best price in market right now. And yeah, Washington's offensive game seems to be picking up here as compared to the Flyers, who have scored 2 or fewer goals in 8 of their last 11 games, including 3 shutout losses. And he's going to get the start tonight. I know he's obviously hasn't been as good as Logan Thompson, but he's been pretty good. I think he's had a tough go this season, but he does have a 4-0-2 record against the Flyers in his career. And he has a goals against average of 1.30 and a save percentage of 951 against the Flyers. He's won his last 3 starts, and I don't think he's lost in regulation in the last 6 games against Philly. So I like this look here for Washington. You follow the Capitals pretty closely, Nick. I kind of wanted to go, given the Flyers' scoring struggles lately. If it had been a Logan Thompson start, I think I would have jumped on the Capitals puck line, and maybe even like you mentioned last week or the week before, Alex Ovechkin to score the last goal, because if the Caps do get into that situation where they have an empty net opportunity, they're going to try to get the puck to Ovi, right? So I think that's a look that I would have considered had it been Logan Thompson in goal, but I still like the Capitals here on the money line at minus 154.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to get to a point where they start cheating it even harder to get Ovechkin the empty netters and put him out only down or only up one, because he's gotten this many with them mainly putting him out only up 2 goals and letting him get like really try to cheat it at that point. But usually they go with the Dowd line when the game's still a 1-goal game and they're really trying to close it out. So I think that prop will be especially interesting if we get to that, because like the Caps are sitting at a point. First off, I think Ovechkin's done a pretty good job defensively when they put him out in those usages. Like he's kind of showing that he can handle it. It's not like they're just going to it and they've been blowing leads by doing so or anything like that. So yeah, I like that look. I wish I bet the Caps at open. I feel like they this game, I was kind of surprised at how close it was, and then I waited, and then now it's moved. But yeah, and Lindgren's he had a tough night statistically versus Ottawa, but none of the goals were really on him at all. And the 2 performances before that, since he's gotten back into the lineup, were great. So yeah, it feels he's probably not going to post the kind of results you see from Thompson, but I don't think you're ever hating that you're betting on him right now. He's obviously so good last year as well. So yeah, I like your thoughts there for sure.
You covered the Maple Leafs and the Kraken today over at the Leafs Nation .ca. Are you have anything that you like in that game from a betting perspective?
Yeah, I like Matthews to score. I'm going to keep it chalky, but he's gotten a ton of chances over the last 5 games. He's actually getting more looks than he's typically got. I think it's a pretty good spot. The Kraken have been pretty awful defensively, and it's even starting to go beyond just what Grubauer was doing earlier in the year. Their underlying results defensively have been pretty horrible lately. So he's at plus 104 to score on Pinnacle. I think that's a good bet. And then if the Kraken do end up not playing Decord, which I'm not necessarily counting on, but there could be a window where I think that would be a really good bet. And the other thing I like about it is that the Leafs power play has looked excellent in the first 2 games of this road trip. It's kind of been really good for 10 games, really. It's above 30% that whole time. And I feel like eventually Matthews is going to end up on more of those good looks if they can continue to move the puck around a lot better. And they're doing a much better job gaining the zone as well. So I think there's a lot to like about Matthews. All their top stars have kind of been going on this trip. I think they're going to have a big night in Seattle here. But from a sides perspective, I didn't have too much. I kind of lean with the Leafs here, but I still think they are showing some flaws in their game. And I kind of think right now they're in one of these spots where I'd rather just count on the big dogs coming through. But we'll see. And then the other important note there is that Marner is still, his status hasn't been confirmed, at least at the last time I checked. So yeah, that's obviously a big part of the line being a little closer than probably people might expect right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, the Kraken defensively have not looked great lately. Just had 5-on-5 over the last month. They are the 6th worst team in goals against, the 7th worst team, or actually, sorry, the 9th worst team in expected goals against, and the 7th worst team in shot attempts against. So bottom 10 all around at 5-on-5 for Seattle. So the Maple Leafs should get their opportunities in tonight's matchup. You had a busy day, or I'm not sure where you're at with all your writing, but this is one of those nightmare slates where the Maple Leafs, Canucks, and the Flames all play on the same day, and those just happen to be the teams that you're tasked with covering for the Nation Network. So let's talk about the Calgary Flames and the Colorado Avalanche. I mean, I think obviously not more often than not. The Flames are going to lose, or the Flames are going to lose this game more often than not. But the Avalanche haven't been playing that great lately. So is there anything to like about the Flames from a betting perspective, or do you find yourself looking more towards the Avalanche side?
Yeah, I didn't have a play in terms of sides. I'm right with you. I don't think the Avs have looked that great. We've kind of been good about this take, I'd say, because I continue to think that they don't look like a cup contender right now. I've never really been sold on that this season. I just look at the depth of the roster and I don't think it's there right now. It feels like they're extremely reliant on the big dogs having some good nights, or otherwise things aren't going to go very good. And that was really clear versus the Canucks. They kind of got outplayed when the McKinnon unit and the Makar-Taves pairing wasn't out. It wasn't a very good night. It wasn't a great night for anyone given that they got shut out, but at least that line had controlled play and had plenty of looks. So I do think the Flames arguably actually have a pretty good edge in the depth minutes of this matchup, which could help them hang around. They were horrible versus the Leafs on Tuesday. That was one of their worst games of the year. They did not. I thought that game. I liked the tie in that game. I thought that the Flames, their strengths would give them a chance to hang around, but they just made way too many mistakes, made it way too easy for the Leafs top stars. So they'll definitely be looking to clean that up in this matchup. I am going to this game. You talk the big slate did work out for me good on this front because I only have one piece to work on tomorrow morning, so that's kind of nice given that I'm going to go to this game and everything. So that works out all right. I don't mind on this slate. But the play that I like is Natchez to get an assist. I continue to think that Avs top line has been even better than it's looked, whether it's been Drouin, Natchez, and McKinnon, or better in the stats, say, whether it's been Drouin, Natchez, and McKinnon, or Lehkonen, Natchez, and McKinnon. That line's been unreal. They're controlling play at about a 65% expected goal share. With Lehkonen, they've generated close to 5 expected goals per 60 in a small sample, but that would be the best results of any line in the league if it were to hold. So there's a lot to like. Natchez had a ton of assist opportunities versus Vancouver. It felt like there's about 5 or 6 really good plays where he gained the zone, found someone in the middle. So I continue to think he's going to get a ton of assist opportunities, and I think that we will see the Avs top line bounce back with a good performance in this game. I don't know if we'll see that lead to a win or not, but I think it's a good spot to bet on them on that front. And the Flames have been pretty bad defensively, and I don't really think they have a top unit or line or deep pairing where you're that worried about them going head to head versus the McKinnon unit. So I think we could see the Flames fare pretty well versus the other Avs lines in this game, but I don't think they'll keep the McKinnon line in check very often, and hopefully we'll see that top line of the Avs play huge minutes once again. So yeah, I think it's a good spot to bank on them having a good night.
Yeah, and I wonder if we'll see Mackenzie Blackwood tonight for the Avalanche. I don't believe we will because the Avs are playing the first half of a back-to-back. They're going to play the Edmonton Oilers tomorrow, so I would assume that they'll save Blackwood for that game, but you never know. So that could definitely work in the Flames' favor. But yeah, the one thing that stands out to me just about Colorado right now, you look over the last month, the Avs, they rank 4th in Corsi for per 60 minutes, so they're up there with teams like the Panthers, Hurricanes, and Oilers. They have the worst expected goals for per 60 of any of the top 10 teams except the Calgary Flames. So 2 teams that haven't been, that have been hammering the puck a lot, but haven't really been all that efficient in terms of generating quality scoring chances with that puck possession. So it'll be an interesting dynamic here tonight in this game. You also are covering the Vancouver Canucks and the San Jose Sharks. I actually have my third and final bet right now anyway, in this game, and it's one that I probably a little bit kind of outside of the norm of a player that I would typically be targeting, but with Quinn Hughes out of the lineup, Philip Hronik is playing a much larger role, and that includes a spot on the top power play unit. He's actually got 6 points in his last 7 games. He had a really good game against the Avs. He picked up 2 assists and 3 shots on goal on Tuesday, and the Sharks have allowed 4 or more goals in 8 of their last 9 games. And since January 16th, San Jose has allowed 5 goals per 60 minutes, which is nearly 2 goals more than the next worst team in goals against. So I think the Canucks will probably have a bit of an explosive offensive night tonight, you would hope anyway. And I think Hronik has a good chance to factor in on that. So I bet that at plus 105 at Bet365. What do you like in this game? I imagine you've got something.
Yeah, I like Philip Hedl to get a point at
Two
minus one.
Phillips.
Yeah, he's been unreal in his 2 games with the
Yeah.
Canucks, and I really hope he can stay healthy because I think it'll be a lot of fun to see if he can keep playing at this level in a bigger role. He's played over 20 minutes in both games. He's got a point in both games, 6 shots in both. He's really done a great job controlling play. I feel like it's been a breath of fresh air for the Canucks right now. And as someone who's not a Canucks fan, but obviously paying a lot of attention to the team, it feels like a really exciting moment here. So I think we'll see him build on that play versus the Sharks side that, like you said, has been just the worst defensive team by a mile. It really hasn't been overly close, and it feels like lately these props have been really good to us. Obviously, the numbers move when they're playing San Jose, but it doesn't feel like they're moving enough given how many more goals against they're allowing on average. So I think it's a good spot for Hedl to continue his strong start with the Canucks. I think we'll see him play big minutes again. I like that he's with Besser, even though Besser hasn't been, great recently. I still think it gives him a legitimate high upside forward to play with. So, I think it's a good spot for Hedl. I feel pretty good that we're going to see another strong performance out of him.
Yeah, absolutely. And with everything else on the slate, is there anything else that you're looking at for Thursday's action from a betting perspective?
Yeah, the one that I didn't, I think that hits on all of them, but the only one that I had bet that I hadn't posted anywhere yet or anything is I do like Gunther to score is at plus 220. I think that's a good bet. It looks like pretty much consensus plus 220. It was funny. I was thinking about it today, how that day that you were doing my DFO piece because Greg was absent was the
Yeah.
last Gunther matchup, and I wrote up the whole thing about him scoring in that game. And then right when I sent it to you is when it was announced that he would be out. And
Oh
then
yeah, I
sure
remember.
enough,
Yeah.
like the fool I am, I didn't bet him to score in his return, and he gets the goal versus Philly. But yeah, I think it's a good spot for him. He had really stood out versus the Flyers. He had 6 shots and 12 chances. And as we've talked about, I think Columbus's defensive upside right now is just significantly reduced. They've already allowed the 7th most goals against in the league this year. So it's not like they've, found their success this season based on being a defensive juggernaut at all. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good spot to back Gunther staying hot after a good return to the lineup.
Yeah. It's gonna. Speaking of tomorrow's slate, though, we talked about a little bit about Colorado in Edmonton to take on the Oilers. It's going to be tough to bet the Oilers tomorrow. They have opened up around the minus 170 range at some sports books already, and as good as Edmonton has been, and as maybe mediocre as the Avs have looked in some respects, I think it's pretty tough to lay minus 175 on this Oilers team against a team like the Colorado Avalanche, even if they are on the second half of a back-to-back. So I'm going to have my work cut out for me trying to find a bet that I like in this one.
I think
But
both teams to score 3. I always like in those Avs Oilers.
yeah,
I could see it being a lot like the Leafs Oilers game on Saturday. The over and that were kind of my first thoughts because I think we'll see McKinnon and Makar have good games and find a way. I don't really think the Oilers have been great defensively of late. I know you would probably agree with that. They got 4 points from that back-to-back this week, but overall their play wasn't entirely convincing. They found a way,
yes.
so good for them. But I think it's realistic to think the Avs can score against them. But I don't think the Avs are really defending very well at all recently. And I feel like their roster depth is a concern. So you should get some good matchups for McKinnon and Draisaitl. So yeah, I think that would look kind of jumped out to me. And I was interested in backing it. I did bet it the last time these teams met. I think we gave that out. And there was actually a period where the line came down from 6.5. So I kind of had that in my mind right now, just wondering if maybe that could happen again, or maybe that's not necessarily the smartest way of looking at it. But that was the one thing that made me think maybe we don't need to like pounce on the 6.5 at even money. But I did like the over in that game.
Yeah. Anything else you're looking at for tomorrow's slate? Haven't had word yet on whether Sidney Crosby is going to be good to go for Friday's games against the New York Rangers. But I haven't had a real chance to dive into Friday's games yet. But is there anything that standing out to you, or is it kind of going to wait and see for the most part?
Yeah, I think wait and see. I did see Crosby was at practice today, so hopefully he'll be back. Other than I'm now rooting for the Rangers to win these games, but uh, yeah, that was the Oilers Avs was the only one that kind of jumped out to me. I did think it would maybe be a good spot to back the Predators coming off a long rest, but they're minus 200, so that was the only other one where I was like kind of excited to bet on them, but don't know if we're getting a very good number.
Awesome, man. Well, this is going to be our last show for a little while. We're not going to be back next week with any shows. I'll be off for the week, but we will be back the following week with our regular scheduled programming, I guess, to talk Four Nations face-off, maybe a little bit of futures talk while that's going on. We'll see, as there will be very few games to talk about, but the games that we will have to talk about will probably be pretty intriguing and pretty interesting. So. I hope you guys all enjoy it. Have a great weekend, and good luck with your bets and gamble responsibly.